How's it going, everybody? I got into a conversation this morning with a friend of mine about the idea of manifestation. Not some new age Pollyanna concept, but the idea of the responsibility that we have of being the agent of the things that we'd like to see in our lives. And it sort of led its way into the discussion that we had about want versus desire. And we throw that word want around all the time. I want this, I want that, One definition of the word want is lack, for want of a nail, or for want of safety, or for want of a better education. And this is even reflected in our praying sometimes. We come up with this list of things that we want. And we look up at the sky and we say, fix this for me. I want better health. I want a job. I want a happy marriage. The implication there is that we don't have these things. So that's really what we're enforcing when we pray that way. Desire, on the other hand, is a little bit different. I can desire sitting out in this backyard right now with this cool breeze, or desire spending time with my wife, and all these things can be immediate. I can desire a good cup of coffee when I wake up in the morning, even when it's right there in my hand, even when I'm tasting it. I'm desirous of it. And another thing that we sort of talked about along those lines, the idea of manifestation, is that what goes on in the external world is a reflection of what goes on in our own internal worlds. And this is not a new concept, but, taken from the perspective of a person who's grown up in a dysfunctional household, and you hear this story so many times in certain circles, we have a need to fix, save, and rescue other people. I have a teacher who said to me many times that the certainty of pain is far preferable than the pain of uncertainty. And sometimes we go out of our way to keep our lives structured in such a way that we're certain of how things are going to turn out. We self-sabotage relationships, we self-sabotage our jobs, we self-sabotage our lives. Because part of us needs to be secure in that, needs to know, or when it gets up in the morning, this is as good as it's going to get, and it's not going to get any better. Right? It's a sickness. And some part of us really needs to stay sick. Really, really needs to stay sick. My own personal experience, and the experience of a lot of friends that have passed through my life has shown me, is that people don't change. They don't start getting well until they're sick and fucking tired of the way their life is right now. And that leads to the moral dilemma of the world we live in today. Right now, as I'm sitting here in this backyard on a peaceful Monday morning, with the sounds of the neighborhood going on around me, there are children bleeding out in deserts. There are people looking to exterminate other people just because of the color of their skin or their religious beliefs. There are homeless people sleeping on streets. There are addicts dying under bridges. But at the same time, there are babies being born. There are people falling in love. There are arguments that are being solved, relationships that are being formed or rebuilt. It's a big, sloppy mess of light and dark. So many of us have this idea that we need to go out and save the world. that we need to stop war. We need to stop killing. We need to stop hatred. But honestly, if we just put an end to war, does anybody really believe that it wouldn't start again? Does anybody believe that if we stopped all the killing, that it wouldn't start again? I have a mulberry tree in my backyard that's one of the most tenacious plants I've ever had to deal with, and I respect its tenacity a lot. But unfortunately, it's threatening a fence, so it's going to have to come down. And I have clipped this thing, I have dug away at it, I have used the most environmentally friendly chemicals on it that I could, and the thing is still there. And the reason it's still there is because I haven't dug it out by the root yet. And so that's the thing. When we gather in our monthly circles and we hold a ceremony, sometimes there's a lot of deep, cathartic release. And one of the things that we've learned in working this way, and from teachers who've shown us how to work this way, is that when someone's in the midst of something, when they're in the midst of doing their deep work, if they're crying, if they're shaking, you don't comfort them. You don't put your arm around them. You don't tell them they'll be all right. You sit quietly. You hold space for them. And you let them do their work. Because so often we comfort others in their misery, in their sorrow, because of how we don't like the way we feel in the presence of that. And so what we're really doing is projecting our own pain onto them and trying to heal it vicariously, which is about one of the most selfish things that another human being can do, is to use another person for the purpose of their own healing in that way. And I guess the moral dilemma of living in a world like this is that a great many of us are afraid to go down deep and look within as individuals, as nations, even as a world. Because somewhere, deep down, enough of us need the world to be exactly the way it is. We need children to bleed out in deserts. We need poor people and homeless people to sleep on streets, die under bridges. We need people to be raped, tortured, enslaved, murdered. Enough of us need that. Because if we didn't, if we were really fucking sick and tired of it, it would end. And so what I'm going to say isn't new. I'm certainly not the first one to ever say it. But maybe what it really comes down to is this: to look deep inside ourselves, find the pain that's there, find the wounds that are there, face them however we can, by whatever means. Don't numb them out, don't avoid them, and work with them. Turn over to our higher power whatever isn't ours to deal with, and deal with the rest, whatever that looks like. Whatever falls away in the process, however painful it might be. Not to fix, save, and rescue the world, but to heal ourselves so that we can enter into the world in a healthier way. And then let the benefits of that roll out, however they will, if they even will. But at least we've managed to clean up this little part of it. And maybe that'll be enough. Maybe that'll be the one pebble that starts the avalanche. Or maybe it won't. Do we really need to make that kind of a demand of our own healing? maybe just doing our own work is enough. When we're ready, if we're ready, to pick up something a little bit heavier, maybe all we need to do is look down at our feet and it'll be there for us. And then we'll know that it's our job to pick it up and carry it. Till next time.